The day they told me she was gone, I couldn't breathe. Not the dramatic kind of breathlessness you see in movies, but the quiet suffocation of disbelief, the kind that makes your chest tight and your vision blur while the world keeps spinning around. You like nothing has changed, but everything had changed. Because she was no longer in it. I met her on the worst day of my life, though I didn't know it would become the best. It was a Tuesday in March, the kind of gray, lifeless Tuesday that makes you forget what sunlight feels like. I'd just lost my job. Correction, I'd been fired. 8 years at Morrison and Fletcher, and they'd let me go with a cardboard box and a security escort like I was some kind of criminal. My wife had left me 6 months earlier, taking our daughter to Portland, because she needed space to find herself. The apartment was a mess. I was a mess. And standing on the bridge that afternoon, watching the cold water rush below, I genuinely couldn't remember a single reason to go home. That's when I heard her voice. "Excuse me, do you have the time?" I turned, annoyed at the interruption of my spiral, and saw her. She couldn't have been more than 70, maybe 75, with silver hair pulled back in a loose bun and eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies of kindness. She wore a worn purple cardigan despite the cold, and she was smiling at me like I was an old friend she'd been hoping to run into. I fumbled for my phone, not even sure why I was answering. 4:30. "Thank you, sweetheart." She moved to stand beside me, looking out at the water. "Beautiful, isn't it? I come here every Tuesday. Something about the way the light hits the river this time of day makes you believe in possibility again." I didn't respond. I wanted her to leave. She didn't. Instead, she started talking, casual as anything, about her grandson's little league game, about the coffee shop down on Madison that had the best apple turnovers, about how she'd once seen a proposal happen on this very bridge. Her voice was soothing, rhythmic, pulling me out of my head despite myself. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world," she said finally, turning those knowing eyes on me. "I'm Margaret, by the way, but everyone calls me Maggie." "David?" The word came out rougher than I intended. "Well, David, I don't know what brought you here today, but I'm glad I met you." She reached into her oversized purse and pulled out a slightly squashed sandwich wrapped in wax paper. "I always pack 2 lunches. Habit from when my Henry was alive. Turkey and Swiss. You hungry?" I wasn't, but something about the gesture, the simple, unexpected kindness of it, cracked something open inside me. I took the sandwich. We sat on the bench and I ate while she talked. She didn't ask questions. She didn't pry. She just existed next to me, this stranger who somehow made the world feel less hostile. When we parted, she pressed a small piece of paper into my hand. "That's my number, in case you ever need to talk, or if you just want another sandwich." She winked, and I found myself almost smiling. I called her 3 days later, fully expecting the number to be fake. It wasn't. Maggie invited me to volunteer at the community center where she spent her mornings serving breakfast to homeless folks. I had nothing else to do, so I went. That's how it started. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'd show up at St. Augustine's Community Center, and Maggie would put me to work. Scrambling eggs, pouring coffee, setting up tables. The work was simple, almost mindless, but it gave me structure, purpose. And Maggie, she had this way of making everyone feel seen. She knew names, remembered stories, asked about people's kids or their job interviews or their health. She treated every person who walked through those doors like they mattered. Because to her they did. I watched her give away her own lunch more times than I could count. Watched her slip $20 bills into pockets when she thought no one was looking. Watched her sit with a crying teenager for 2 hours, just listening, just being present. "Why do you do this?" I asked her once, months into our friendship. "You're retired. You could be traveling, relaxing, doing anything. Why spend your time here?" She looked at me like the answer was obvious. "Because I can. Because I have love to give, and what good is love if you keep it all to yourself?" She squeezed my hand. "You know what I learned when I lost Henry? That we're all just walking each other home. Every kindness is a light in someone's darkness. You never know when you might be someone's last reason to hope." Those words haunted me because I realized she'd been mine. That day on the bridge, I'd been ready to jump, and she'd appeared offering sandwiches and conversation, pulling me back from the edge without ever knowing how close I'd been. I told her that eventually. One quiet morning after the breakfast rush, I finally confessed what that Tuesday had really been. She cried, actually cried, and pulled me into a fierce hug. "Oh, David, I'm so glad you're still here. This world needs you. I'm here because of you," I said. "No, honey. You're here because you chose to stay. I was just lucky enough to be there when you needed a reminder." Over the next year, Maggie became my closest friend. She met my daughter when she came to visit. She encouraged me when I started night classes at the community college. She celebrated with me when I got a new job, a better one, doing work that actually mattered. She was there for every milestone, every setback, every ordinary Tuesday. I started to notice she was slowing down around month 13. She'd get winded easier, need more breaks. She brushed off my concerns with a wave of her hand. "Old age, sweetie, comes for us all." But it wasn't just old age. It was cancer. Stage 4. She'd known for months and hadn't told anyone. "Didn't want people fussing," she said. "Didn't want to be treated differently." "I'm not dying," she insisted, even as she got thinner, paler. "I'm living until I'm not. There's a difference." And she did. God, she lived. She kept volunteering until she physically couldn't anymore. Kept calling people, checking in, spreading that relentless kindness even from her hospital bed. When I visited her there, weak but still smiling, she made me promise something. "Keep going," she said, gripping my hand with surprising strength. "Keep showing up. Keep being kind. Pass it on, David. That's how we live. Forever. Through the love we leave in other people's hearts." She died on a Tuesday in March, exactly 2 years after we'd met. The community center held a memorial service, and it was standing room only. Person after person stood up to share stories of Maggie's kindness, her generosity, her unwavering belief in human goodness. I learned she'd been doing this work for 30 years. I learned she'd helped hundreds of people find housing, jobs, hope. I learned I wasn't special. I was just one of many lives she'd touched. And that's when I understood the true magnitude of her gift. She didn't save me because I was special. She saved me because she saw every human being as worthy of love, of dignity, of another chance. She was kindness personified. And she'd spent her life proving that one person really could make a difference. Now, I run the Tuesday breakfast program at St. Augustine's. I show up every week, rain or shine, and I try to see people the way Maggie saw them. Last month, I noticed a guy standing on the bridge at 4:30 in the afternoon, staring at the water with empty eyes. I walked over and asked him the time. He looked confused but answered. I started talking about the light on the river, about the coffee shop on Madison, about possibility. I offered him a sandwich I'd packed that morning, and I saw something shift in his expression, some tension release. Before we parted, I gave him my number, in case you need to talk. Or if you just want another sandwich. He called 2 days later. I told him about volunteering, about community, about a woman named Maggie who believed we're all just walking each other home. He showed up the following Tuesday. He's still showing up. That's the thing about kindness. It multiplies. It echoes. One act of love ripples outward in ways we'll never fully comprehend. Maggie saved my life, and now I have the privilege of passing that gift forward. I think of her every day. Every time I pour coffee for someone who looks defeated. Every time I listen to a story that needs telling. Every time I choose compassion over judgment, connection over indifference. She taught me that heroism isn't grand gestures. It's showing up. It's seeing people. It's choosing again and again to love a world that often feels unlovable. The day they told me she was gone, I couldn't breathe. But then I remembered her words. Keep living, keep loving, keep showing up. And I realized she wasn't really gone at all. She lives in every kindness I extend, every person I help, every life I touch with the grace she showed me. Her name was Margaret. Everyone called her Maggie. And she taught me that we save each other. One sandwich at a time, one conversation at a time, one act of radical kindness at a time. That's her legacy. That's her story. And now every day it's mine too.